basically my vivid memories in Haiti is the best way to explain it. Think about like the Godfather movie when they go back in time and then it's this small little village with the donkeys. I mean, think about that, but minus, the luxury of the harvest. It was just a very poor community and no electricity, but a lot of drums, a lot of native drums, which kept the energy going. And I always remember like my grandma a lot, because my grandma give us like a penny every Sunday to go to church, and sometimes we took that penny and bought some candy with it. But despite like how poor we were, she always found a penny every Sunday. And I was like, she always was like, giving is caring. So automatically, I mean, those are some of my memories of Haiti. The rain, the constant like Africanism. It was just an energy like, whoa, gade na passe la, c'est non même ka passe la, whoa, gade. And it was just like, it just feels. So at times whenever I feel like down, I can hear like these tribal sounds in my head and it picks me up. When I first moved to New York, coming from the small village, the tale was that America, the land of diamonds. So we thought that, we would land and then there would be diamonds falling from the sky. That was basically the impression. And we got on a plane, and keep in mind that village I told you I came from, so now I'm on a plane, and then as the plane is going and we're coming to New York City, and I see a bunch of lights, and I look at my brother and say, yo, we're rich. The city of diamonds, we're rich. We have arrived. And so my first impression of New York City was like, wow. I think it's the first impression of a kid that's old enough to understand Disneyland, and then they get there and they're just like, wow, My adjustment, like coming from Haiti and then growing up first in the projects of Marlboro and Coney Island, it was a rough start because there's a language barrier and something's going on. So the first thing you do is you try to learn the language and try to see if you could fit in with the culture. And at the time, what helped me a lot was hip-hop music, because there was a lot of breakdancing going on, a lot of graffiti going on, and it was sort of like, it starts off with the stereotype of, go back to Jamaica, you. Yo, man, I ain't from Jamaica. Where you from? Haiti. Go back to Haiti. Do you know where Haiti's at? No, I don't know where Haiti's at. So it's like things that kids go through. And then you're like, I need acceptance. I want these people to respect me. So I'm gonna do their music better than them. I'm gonna do this better than them. So as a kid, you just start challenging yourself. And in a couple of years, you naturally pick up the culture. And I think what really helped me a lot was the reggae music and the hip hop music. The Creole language is the language of my country, Haiti. And why is this so important to me? Because the natives speak Creole and then they have to learn French, right? So somewhere along the line, I lost my French, but I never lost my Creole. It was sort of like, it's important that you have an identity, And what I mean by that is, if there's a language that has been spoken, like, your mom speak it, your grandma speak it, your grandma's mother speak it, your mother's grandma speak it, and then you don't speak it. What end up happening is, you just broke the generation gap because your kid's not gonna speak it. And it's very important when you have a language that's a language from where you from, and it represents culture. So I could never lose my Creole because that represents the culture. The strong identification with Haiti comes from my parents. Yes, I come to the States at a young age, But inside of the house, the culture that we was raised with is the culture of the islands and what we came up with. My mother always said, well, outside of the house, you can be as American as you want to, but when you get in this house, you Haitian. You eat Haitian food, you talk Creole, you listen to Haitian music. I'm like, no. But it actually was a great thing. I decided to do what I do when I was 2 years old. At 2 years old, I heard the sound of a drum playing in the village. And I found my own drum and just picked it up and started playing. Kolebowo, 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 kole. The worst song ever written by Wyclef Jean. But it actually started a vibe. Professionally, I started doing what I was doing when I turned like 13 years old. And not only, because a lot of times it surprises people what I do because they say, aren't you a hip hop artist? Like, how do you know about Bach? How do you know about Art Blakey? How do you know about Crystal Gale? How do you know about Pink Floyd? Well, understand that, my background and naturally what I grew up with was music in the church. And then going to high school, I got introduced to jazz and from the 9th grade to the 12th grade, all I did was study and play jazz all day. So for me, it's just, then I turned 18 years old and got my first contract with Atlantic Records, Big Beat. At the time, they just released Nelson Mandela. And I did a record called Out of the Jungle. And it was dedicated to Nelson Mandela. And I got with my group, the Fugees, in like 1989, which was like a high school band for me. And basically with the Fugees, I went on to doing my first CD. The first CD was called Blended on Reality. It was me, Prize, and Lauryn. Why did this thing work? It worked because you had 3 individuals from 3 different styles of music. Lauryn taught me about R&B, because at the time I was more into like church music, reggae, or rock, Prize was just a rock head. And so Lauryn would come, stylistics, what's that? And then she would play it. And then I would automatically learn it. The first CD was called Blended on Reality. It basically tanked. And then the second CD, we went to my basement, my uncle's basement. Me and Jerry Wonder got together, Lauryn and Prize, and created a classic that sold basically 22 million. That CD was done inside of a basement. So if you're doing music in your basement or in your garage, I always say that's the best place. I think that's where you're gonna get your best material from, or the bathroom. The Wyclef Jean music is eclectic music. Wyclef represents eclectic music. Eclectic music. I've been doing this music since I was a child, and I said I will refuse for anyone to put me into a box. Whenever I want to listen to Celia Cruz, I will. When I want to hear Pink Floyd, I will. When I want to hear Bob Marley, I will. I want to hear Nirvana, I will. I can and I will. I want to listen to Jay-Z, I will. Biggie Smalls, Tupac. And this is the iPod of a kid today. So the Wyclef Jean music is just eclectic music. It's called good music. My influences range from like Jimi Hendrix to Bob Marley to Marvin Gaye. And then one of my favorite like singers, when I hear him, I could identify with his voice. A lot of people would be like, man, how is Johnny Cash? You know what I'm saying? I like Johnny Cash a lot. Like my dad was a minister and stuff, and just growing up in the church, and I grew up with a lot of Christian rock, and so that's some of it. The Haitian music, one of my favorite bands is called Boukman Experience. And Boukman Experience represents the true roots and the culture of what Haitian music is to me. That band is a band, when I hear it and they say there's a connection with Haiti and Africa, I naturally could feel that connection. It represents racine. The translation for racine is roots. When you listen to that music, then you understand the connection of, where the Haitians are from and why the rhythms sound like that. It's the natural music of the country. And then the young generation to listen to a form of music which is called compa music. And compa music is more like, there's bands like Jakut Music, there's bands like T-Vice, bands like Karami. That's sort of like, you could say like there's Bob Marley and then there's dance hall. You know what I'm saying? So that's the best way to describe it. Like there's Racine and then there's compa. So the younger kids are definitely more into the compa, which is a traditional like form of like dance music from the islands, created in Haiti, which definitely has a lot of influence on what I do. My music evolved. I mean, at this point, you know what I'm saying? It's like, my role model, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a young Quincy Jones, Like, what I mean by that is that's my blueprint, And I feel like my career is just getting started. I'm into a lot of scoring music now. I like the sounds of scores. I want to do like big soundtracks for movies. I want to like develop more of the Wyclef sound, the sonic sound, and get my own label, Carnival House Records, and start to find great talent, develop it, and help expand it. In terms of personal music, I would love to collaborate with Lauryn, with Prize. Definitely, whenever they're ready, I'm always ready as a producer to get the Fugees cracking. What's holding the Fugees back? Lauryn, hurry up. When I recorded the CD in the basement, we was able to sell 22 million copies because the internet had not evolved, the way that it did now. If it did, the kids would probably sell 2 million copies because the kids would be able to go and download piece by piece and get all the songs. The content with all of the technology that's out there, you get everything quicker. There's quicker access to everything, and everything is basically free through the internet. I mean, from movies to music to whatever you want. For a kid to actually go to the store and pick up the actual CD, they got to feel like it's a PlayStation game coming out or something, But the thing is, I say, while that's going on, creative music always sells. So whether it's through the technology, whether it's through the people coming to the live concert, you can't slack on your music or your live shows because the sales that you want are not matching, because you can get those same sales with the live concerts. So what you got to do is, us as musicians, true musicians, we have to work 4 times harder, because to go platinum, to go double platinum, to go triple platinum, you basically have to be out there half of the year promoting and travel in different parts of the world. Unlike before, it was a little easier, like you could just do the CD, and if people like it, enough people will buy it because they didn't have access to it. That's where the technology changes. I think, the music industry will always be relevant in the sense of, you need artists, but of course, I think that they felt like if the music industry knew what technology was gonna do, I think that with the web and everything, I think they would have adapted and bought those companies and actually made those companies part of the music industry today. Today it's a little different with the artists. Back in the days we had artist development. There was a budget for artist development. So if you basically find an artist, you got to have the money now to develop it. Because basically a label is not going to give no money for artist development. They want the artist to come and fine tune and ready to go. So this is where you got to, pick and choose exactly what you want to work on. I think whether if it's Lindsay or Paris, like people will be like, well, why are they doing records? You know what I mean? I think music is self-expression. Everybody's entitled to express music however they feel and they want to express it. And I think it's up to the person to decide what they're going to want to listen to. You understand? You got a choice. Wyclef Lindsay, what do you want to listen to? You got a choice. Paris, Alicia Keys, what do you want to listen to? And I think at the end of the day, you can't knock anyone's hustle, because at the end of the day, everyone is just trying to find what works for them best. Hip hop is the culture. Rap is part of hip hop. Spoken word, which is poetry, is part of hip hop. Yes. The lyrics that I write are definitely poetry. It's you sit and You look back at it, and what it is it's self-expression, definitely. I think hip hop culture is a representation of communities. So wherever you go, like you go here, you go to Pakistan, you go to Russia, and wherever you go and you look for the hip hop culture, it's gonna be an expression of what that environment is going through. Um, and the kids are probably gonna be talking about the topics of what's going on within that environment. So you might be in the States and be like, yo, this rap stuff's all about bling bling and gangsters and. But go into the environment and talk to these kids and ask them, when's the last time they came and built a school here? When has they put new buildings here? When they had, so the kids stay on a corner and they fantasize about this luxurious lifestyle that we portray because it's an imaginary world of what we wish we had because we can't see past that because they're not really helping the communities and bringing in people to really help change these communities. Yeah, I think there's two forms of imaginary world. There is the imaginary world where you watch the TV and you think you can get it like that. That's killing the kids. That's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because I was imagining that I was going to play at Madison Square Garden, but I was working in a fast food restaurant. Okay, kids? So that's the truth, which means like don't think like you see a cat out there and you see the blings in the cars that all of a sudden they just did that and then you can't get that. You're like, okay, well, let me go and sell some more of this crack, you know what I'm saying? Because this rapper say he just sold crack. Well, the rapper that told you he sold crack, he ain't selling crack no more. And if he does, he going to jail. You understand? And after he told you he sold crack in the lyrics, he's back in a nice mansion. So you go ahead and want to emulate that, and then you're in jail for 20 years. Think, homie. I think the culture of hip hop is spreading through the world, and it can't slow down because what happened is every place there's communities and all these communities have their own expression of hip hop and what they want to talk about. I think rap music in the States, we're in a situation right now where we're trying to figure out what it is, you know what I'm saying? Because every other person is a rapper. So what's going to determine, your life as a rapper? Every other person's a rapper. Every other person's talking about Jews. Every other person's talking about champagne. Every other person's talking about their rims and their grills. That's every other person. So like the lifespan of a rapper now is probably 8 months. So we're like, yo, where's the actual rappers go? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you still got the Commons, you still have people that represents their side. T.I. represents his side. Lil Wayne has a side. Common, Kanye, you know what I'm saying? Lupe Fiasco just came and claimed his side. So I think, it could get interesting, but we just need more variety so that it could be sustainable. Because if we don't get more variety, then what's going to end up happening is it's just going to get boring. In 15, 20 years, hip hop will always be around. The culture will be around, but it will be in a new form of a new expression. And it's probably going to go back to melodies and songs. The issue of race, no matter how much we want to ignore it, you know what I'm saying? We have to talk about it because that's how we're going to move forward. I feel that this new generation are not prejudiced at all. The majority of the generation, you know what I'm saying? But then you still got 10% that's trying to hold on to the past, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're black, you know what I'm saying? You're Asian, you're white, you know what I mean? You've seen a lot of the hate crimes that has been happening, you know what I'm saying? And I feel that right now where we at with the world, we have to realize that we really one people. And what I mean by that is not in a cliche way, but if you check your blood, you check my blood, it's really the same blood at the end of the day, theoretically speaking. So, what I faced was always as a Haitian, there's always a stereotype and a stigma which goes with us. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you're a Haitian, you're a boat person, you're a stink, you bought AIDS. These are the kind of stigmas when I look at you and I'm like, you don't have a clue, you're ignorant, you don't know what's going on. You understand what I'm saying to you? And these are the stigmas that I fight for as a Haitian every day, to basically say, y'all need to get past that BS and let's deal with some of the realities and facts of the world. I think Obama gave a great speech on race. I could definitely relate to it because, you know, coming from Haiti, you know, you have like what's still called the upper class and then what's considered the lower class, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes, you know, because someone from the upper class makes it, the lower class want to hate. And you say, where the hell is this hate coming from? Like, why do they feel a certain way? Well, they feel that way because there's nothing wrong with being part of the upper class. But they take it back 2 generations or 3 generations before. And that hate is coming from the fact of they're saying, well, our super ancestors were slaves, you know, and, you know, we basically feel like we're in the same position. So a lot of times when you see hate in the issue of race, you got to ask yourself, where actually is this hate coming from? No one is really making this hate up. Like, there was one time where people was really getting lynched. There was really one time when they was sicking dogs on people. Like, that's Martin Luther King. He got shot. Like, this is for real. Like, there's a time where people was angry. You understand? And similar to Obama, I mean, what I feel is that, you know, there's Moses, right? And then Moses could go but so far. And then Moses, look, he said, Joshua, go ahead, handle it. So I feel like we're the Joshuas of today. So I feel like being the Joshuas of today, we got to get past the old situation and moving forward. For it to work, we all have to feel like we won race. I don't know the last time you checked the economy. They don't say, okay, well, you're not losing your house because you're white, or you're not losing your house because you're black or because you're yellow. No, they're like, yo, you can't pay for this house. We all in this thing together. So we need to get past this race issue and start dealing with reality. I think the new generation of Joshuas, like, we're not done, but we need to start. And I think where we start at is unifying and really being one and really not waiting for things to be in a bad position to really talk about it, to really understand that we're leaders. You can pick up a pen and write to Congress. You can email if you don't like certain things from the beginning, because there is a real constitution and they need to respect the generation that's coming up, and that we're dealing with that right now. I think that's very important, that you exercise your rights before something goes down. And that's when you feel like you want to deal with it. Then people don't take you seriously because they're like, oh, you only apply action when you feel it's necessary. Well, I feel that action is necessary all the time. There's so much things that are going on in the world, from Africa to Asia to back in your own hometown where you're right now. You're sitting in a community. You might not be happy with the community. Maybe you don't want them to break that building down right there, because that building represents a monument, something for the community. Well, talk about it. Write to the mayor. You understand? Maybe you need more funds for the school. You don't like the way this school is being treated. You look and you're like, well, where's these funds for education? Get together, rally with the kids, and talk about this. This is what we have to do to start moving forward. I think that when people look at Obama, they have to stop saying, okay, it's a race, you know what I mean? Because what happens is, when you look at Obama, he's a man. So it's like, when you look at someone, you got to get, past the level. Like, look at the debates. He's an educated man. He has the gift of speaking to people. He has the gift of going anywhere around the world and actually being in a room with someone and looking at them in the eyes. and having a conversation. What I love most about Obama, and this is why y'all gotta get past this whole race shit, period. Clef said so. What I love most about Obama is Obama says we gotta get off this high horse that we on and start to deal with things direct. And I think to move forward as a race and as people, we have to start doing that. Well, I'm encouraging the Joshua generation to definitely go out and vote for Obama. That's beyond an endorsement. The song "If I Was President," I get elected on Friday, assassinated on Saturday, buried on Sunday. Then they go back to work on Monday as if nothing happened. It was a song that was inspired by conspiracy theory. Sitting back, looking at what's going on in the war, the billions of dollars is being spent. And the fact of whenever someone is coming in to actually present truth, they shoot them down. So then I put myself in the position of, if I was president, they'd probably take me out the way they took Martin Luther out or the way they took Kennedy out. But at the same time, we should strive to be the president, meaning that the best that we can be. Tell the children the truth. will.i.am's a great producer. I call him the little Clef. And I have respect for him as a producer, and when he did the Yes We Can, my respect for him though went to level 300, because this is what it's about. When you have kids like that see Obama and then they just get inspired. So yes, there is room for music. And people say, is there room for music in politics? I said, oh, you mean politics? So there's room for music and social issues. But whenever we decide to talk about social issues, you call them politics. We call them politics, right? We say, leave the politics for the politicians and let's deal with these social issues. Yele, Y-E-L-E. We have a foundation and a website, yele.org. It's a foundation I started a few years ago, and we started it because we wanted to bring self-esteem back to Haiti. And currently, 7,000 kids have scholarships. We started something which is called Hiphop en Santé, Hip-Hop for Health, mobile clinics going throughout Haiti, giving people HIV tests, giving them condoms, but through music. There's also a children prison program where we've went into these prisons where there's kids, introduced chess, took over the prisons, put more beds, basketball courts, and these kids are reading. And every time I go down there, tears come to my eyes because I knew how it was in the beginning. A lot of these kids was in gangs, most terrible violence you could think about. And Yele is actually, the movement is really working. And it's the greatest thing is when I look at a kid and I notice that I can rise his self-esteem because someone rose my self-esteem. That's why I'm here. That's Yele. Well, the first thing is we have a documentary coming out which is called Cry Haiti. And this is my work on the ground for the past 3 years. I didn't leave the ground until I felt that the people on the ground understood what we was doing and we was training. So I kept going back and forth. And now I feel like we have a great team on the ground. We have a great NGOs. But to get it, it took 3 years of me going back and forth to Haiti. A lot of times when you start in foundations, for it to really work, you have to be hands-on for the first couple of years. And right now, it's a natural will. It's moving. Well, the gap that the celebrity fills is that the celebrity can reach millions of people like that. So the fact that they lend their voice or their name to Africa, it makes millions of people that wouldn't even care about Africa look towards what's going on in Africa. I think, there's, I think a celebrity period doing any form of charity is a great thing, because a celebrity don't really have to do anything as much as you want to think they do. They're celebrities. So they could actually just chill and don't do nothing. But the thing is, but then there's those celebrities that don't only lend their name, they act on it. And of course, the bar is rose so high for these celebrities. People like Angelina Jolie, she's been to Haiti with me. Brad Pitt. I mean, look what Brad's doing at New Orleans. You know what I'm saying? Real initiatives. George Clooney, like going to these places, looking with their eyes and learning, and then bringing the information back to the American people. I think that's where the future is headed. The high rolling style that's portrayed on the television is basically a dream, meaning that if you have a dream, it can happen, it could come true. In a way, it's good for kids to see that. But a lot of times I feel like, all right, if you're telling the high rollers, I think the story should start from the rags to riches. Because when you do that, then it's a sense and it makes sense. But the idea of just flossing, you know, hundreds and millions of dollars and then jumping on a plane and then a boat, and then kids really think that, you know, it's your boat. What I've learned is, let me tell you kids something. This is what I've learned through my years. The people with the real money don't do any of that stuff. 9 times out of 10, they're in a room, you won't even know who they are unless you hear people talking about them. So the thing about it is, when you seen all this high rolling and you like, I'm gonna tell you what a tycoon said. Tycoon has billions of dollars. The tycoon said, Wyclef, you know what's funny about you guys? Y'all wanna be us and we wanna be y'all. And that's like the best way to explain it, you know what I'm saying? Well, I think that, you know, first of all, the women that are portrayed like that in the videos, they want to be portrayed like that in the videos or they wouldn't come to the video shoot. So that means that there's a gang of women out there that wants to be portrayed like that. You understand what I'm saying to you? Because the women that don't want to be portrayed like that, they won't be nowhere by those videos. You understand what I'm saying to you? And I think that the idea of degrading women and making women look like they're sluts, they're hoes, they're nothing, they're just, you know, it's not a great example, you know what I'm saying? Because we all got a mom, you know what I mean? And we wouldn't want to portray our moms like that. You see what I'm saying? So the bottom line is, you have to be conscious of what you portraying, because when you end up having a daughter, I'm sure you ain't gonna want your daughter jumping around like that and acting like that. So you have to make sure that you put a thin line. And if you're doing a video like that, I think you should basically do it in a smart way. Like, you could be way more clever with it, opposed to, all right, now time to drop champagne on her head. You know, I think it's corny. I think the smarter way of doing it is check out my video, The Sweetest Girl, baby. And you see how you want to portray women. Get those strong women in those videos. I could definitely relate to Dave Chappelle. I mean, I think I left the music industry for like 3 years. A lot of people's like, what Wyclef's doing? And it basically looked like I was out of the scene. But I went back to Haiti, started doing charity work, clearing my mind. Because sometimes the industry can be, it's a lot of pressure, because, you know, they expect you to produce. And every time you get a good one, they expect another one. Then another one, then another one. And sometimes now you start to get tired, because you're like just trying to appease people, opposed to, you know, just concentrating on your art. That's a good question. What do I think about Reverend Wright and what he said? Reverend Wright served in the military, correct? Was he a Marine? Right? Reverend Wright has seen what he has seen. He has what's called freedom of speech. Do I speak like Reverend Wright? No. Do Obama speak like Reverend Wright? No. Reverend Wright speaks like Reverend Wright. He speaks as he speaks. As Obama speaks as he speaks. Obama has his views. I have my views. You understand? So, meanwhile, while people are saying, you know, Obama don't have a chance in Pennsylvania because, you know, people will vote for Hillary, um, because of the Reverend Wright, I would just say, if we're gonna put everything out, let's just put everything out. So you have two things to weigh here. I ain't no political advisor, but let me give you a little logic. Reverend Wright controversy, fire under snipers. So you weigh it, fires under snipers, Reverend Wright controversy. Now really think about what you're really saying. And if I was you, I would vote for something that's honest and that's not portraying something else at the time, and purely just talking about what's out there that we all talk about. We see it in the media, it's clear. You understand what I'm saying? I think that, certain remarks that Reverend Wright made were racist remarks, but they were racist on what he's seen. You understand? I don't feel that he's a racist. I felt that there were remarks made on the racist issues that he's seen coming up. So it's like, do I think he's a racist? No. Does he? Well, if he's not a racist, Clef, why did he make these racist remarks? These remarks are made on situations which portray racism, like they're out there. So he's speaking the same way that someone else speaks, but they won't necessarily speak out and say it.